Good morning,
Good
and
morning.
thank you for
Morning.
joining us. We are in Sun City,
Good
Florida,
morning.
in
Good
case you
morning.
are not. Yes? Somebody have something to say?
No?
No? Okay. Um, just want to do a little review in case you were not with us last week. We kind of stepped back a little bit and did a review of the arranging and what's involved in that. And yeah, I think repetition is the best medicine you can get as far as we learn things as we use them. At least I do that way. So just like I was mentioning about the camera being off, I didn't know my computer camera was off until all of a sudden it was off and I had to figure it out. And it's the same kind of thing with arranging, like instead of just sitting down and playing, one page after another of songs, it's nice when you can start developing the arrangements. And the only thing I encourage you there is the arrangements are going to be more valuable for you if they are saved on a USB stick or in a bank. If you don't save them, then you really don't have the arrangement that you worked on. But we spoke about applying effects. These are the different components of arranging. That might be the fill, the cymbal roll, the bell tree, whatever kind of effect goes with that piece of music that you are trying to work on. Also, we talked about being fully engaged with intros and endings instead of just touching the start button. It's really nice to play along, even if you just play the last note while the ending's going, so that you are fully engaged in the quote unquote arrangement instead of it just being a song. We talked about balance, how you start and how you end the arrangement. A good example of that is what I did for love. We took the last musical phrase, what I did for love, started with that, and then activated the introduction, and then at the end, the same. So there's a good balance there on that. We talked about using features, MCS Plus. We talked about Cascade is a great feature to apply if you have it. We also talked about category setups and the different categories. And I was mentioning, I believe last week, that most of us have not gone through every single category of every sound that you have. And, it's just nice to know what you have and make a note of what you really like. Some things you'll like and some things you won't prefer, which is fine. But I try to refresh my memory. I've been through all the categories that I have available up into through the Liberty, which is what I have now. But I try to review that and just, oh yeah, I forgot about that sound. I really like that. So it's really good to familiarize yourself with what's available above and beyond what we call style setups or rhythm preset, if that's what's on your instrument. Um, we talked about choosing sounds based on how do you choose a sound. One of the ways we choose it is based on the lyrics. If you have the lyrics to the song, check it out, and you may say, "Oh, well, in that one part, there's singers singing, so that would indicate to me that I want to find some vocal voicing for that section of the song," which is exactly what we did on today's review of Squeeze Me, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Identifying musical phrases where music once you can identify your musical phrases, that tells you where to change. And I've had a lot of people say, where am I supposed to change my sound? Well, the musical phrases is a very good indicator for that. As soon as you can identify them, and if you can't, just call me and I'll help you identify the phrases. We generally are making between 2 and 3 changes per song that we're doing, which is good because it keeps it interesting for you, the listener. Remember, you are the conductor, you are a player, the performer, you're the listener, um, and you're your own audience in most cases. So you're all of those things. So it's really good to be able to change your sounds because that's what makes it interesting for you, the performer, for you, the audience, is to just have that variety. And we know we have so much on these instruments that with so many sounds, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to just stay on one sound for the whole time. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head, if you will, please. And and then go ahead and utilize what you have, which is great quality for sure. We also discussed choosing a second song for making a medley if you want to do that. They don't have to be songs that relate, although a lot of medleys are two or three songs that are similar. But I've done some very diverse. I've done Ode to Joy and then medleyed that into the William Tell Overture. So go figure that. There's no common denominator at all, but it worked. So I would encourage you to branch out on that. In Witchcraft, we paired up Cherokee to go with Witchcraft. And in Somewhere Out There, we paired up, starting it at this time of year, with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And that worked too. And then the last thing was we can build up the song toward the end, the arrangement, by adding extra measures. And as long as you stay in time, meaning double the measure, if you're going to add an extra measure, it's now 8 beats instead of 4. Your half note will become a whole note. So as long as we stay within the beats, the tempo beat, you can add measures anywhere, including take a measure for the fill when you're trying to change buttons or do something different. So that's very possible. And immediately when you start to add measures to quote unquote slow the pace down, not by tempo, but slowing the pace of the song, because you're building up to, I'm almost finished this arrangement. So adding those measures can be really, really helpful and make it sound more final. And just as a sidebar note on that, sometimes going the last note in Hal Leonard frequently takes the last note and drops it down from the second to the last note. And sometimes the finale feeling is as simple as go up instead of go down. Down is to the left, up is to the right. So if they took you from an A to an F, down to F, you might want to go from the A up to F. And that creates a little more finality as well. So that's the elements that we kind of have been reviewing during the many weeks of this arranging class, which I think, from what the feedback is from you, it sounds like you are all more than making very good arrangements and making good selections. So that's great. So last week we did Just Squeeze Me, and I wondered, first, I'd like to hear your comments, your questions. How was the bridge? Of course, you knew I was going to ask that. How was the bridge? And tell me what rhythm styles you used. We had a couple out there: quick step, jazz club, swing and sway, beyond a sea. Um, what was the last one I had? Standards pianist on the Easy Products. So we had quite a few offerings there, but you may have found something different, which I'd love to hear about.
Joanie, it's Gail. I used Oscar Swing, which is a really nice, it's a new background on the aria. And I tried all the other ones, but I really liked this Oscar Swing.
Oscar Swing is a really terrific, terrific background. Absolutely. I'm listening to the introduction in my head right now, and I'm saying, yeah, that would work with that. That's great. Very good.
Joanie,
Just another alternative. Yes, go ahead.
this is Jan.
Hi.
I listened on the Amazon device before we had the class last week, and everything I brought up on that song was very slow.
Right.
So I could, even though you had done it a little bit peppier, I kind of couldn't get that out of my head. So I ended up going to Duke's Blues, but I sped it up to about 110, and I liked that.
Okay. Yeah, the two that I listened to were also extremely slow. And I can't recall in my career where I got exposed to this tune, but for whatever reason, I guess back in that day, we probably didn't even have YouTube. I'm not sure, but I don't recall ever being exposed to it slowly. It was more of an up tempoed. It was more of a fun, carefree. I mean, the words "just squeeze me, please don't tease me" doesn't sound like a real slow. Although Duke Ellington and what's her name,
Lena Horne. Lena Horne.
Lena Horne, did it more seductively, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's fine if that worked for you, Jen. That's great. That's why we have interpretation and different versions. Every artist does it a little different. So I
Yeah,
think it's fun
I
to play as a jingle myself. So I enjoy it for that.
yeah, so I made it at 110 because Duke's Blues comes on at like 70, and
Gotcha.
it seemed like it was really draggy. So I brought it up to 110, so it had a little bit of a more upbeat, but I did like that background with it.
Yeah, that's interesting because you brought up the tempo, which would be good, and yet you maintained a background that was a more reserved background beat.
Right.
So you kind of blended the two together, which is very good. Very, very good. And I will be trying that after class for sure. Just I'd like to hear it.
Joni,
Yes.
Joni, this
Yes.
is Levon.
Hi.
I use Satin Doll.
Okay. And did you alter the tempo?
I I put it at 105.
Okay.
I have it recorded.
You do. So you're telling me that
Yes,
you're gonna play it for us?
if you would like to hear it with its little
We would love
mistakes
to
in it.
hear it. We would love to
Okay.
hear it. Excellent.
Thank you.
And what was the name that you medleyed it with?
Put your arms around me, honey.
Put that. It was at the tip of my tongue and I couldn't remember what it was called. Now, that's interesting because you kept the theme, squeeze me, don't tease me, put your arms around me. Very good. And the other thing that I really liked was because you were using Satin Doll, you kept the instrumentation within that style, clarinet, trombone. It all blended with the background style. So very, very good, Levon. Excellent.
Thank you.
Great job.
It's great.
Anyone else?
Well, I recorded the Oscar swing, but I didn't do a medley. So it's
That's
just
great. I'd love to hear Oscar Swing, please.
okay. Of course, it never comes out sounding the way you think it should. But all right, here goes. I hope I can do this without losing.
Turn it up too low.
We're not hearing it, Gail.
Can hear it?
No.
Too low.
I wonder if it's because I'm on Zoom while I'm playing it.
It could be. Last week when you did it, you were on Zoom on your phone.
Right,
And then
right.
you were playing it through your computer, and we heard that well.
All right. I'm going to get out of Zoom and just play it then. And then I'll go back in. What do you think?
If you get out of Zoom, we may not hear it.
No, I'm just going to play it on the computer. No? That's what I did last week.
Okay, try it. Somebody has a TV going on in the background or a radio. If you could mute, that would be very helpful.
Oh no.
Thank you. All right, there's Gail. She's trying to get back in.
Oh dear.
We're hearing it.
You hear it?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I should start it over if you didn't hear most of it.
We didn't hear the beginning. You were almost to the bridge. Why don't you start over one more time?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's just go.
Did you use intro 1?
Yeah.
Good. I can't wait to hear it.
Let me start over. This is crazy. Oh. Open. Where is it? This is frustrating. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We're all in the technology with you.
Okay.
There we go.
Can you hear it?
Yeah. Great. Bravo.
Thank you.
Good job.
Uh,
One thing I would encourage you when you're using the fill and Oscar swing,
yeah.
if you activate the fill on like a second or a third beat, you really don't get the completion of that arpeggio that he would do. So I would encourage you to build in an extra measure so you can hear that whole arpeggio, because it's very, very good, obviously, but you're getting cut short because you're keeping it within one measure.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
don't activate it on the first beat, then you lose part of that arpeggio. So I would
Oh,
encourage you
okay.
to just build in a new measure so you can hear it for maybe 7 beats, or yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah.
Oh,
7
okay.
beats instead of 3.
Oh, good. Thank you.
No, you're
Mhm.
welcome. Very nice. And I
Thank you.
think that most of you now are starting to see the value of what it's like to record yourself, and um, what it's like for this class. So I'm not the only one playing. We're hearing different interpretations. We're hearing different styles, which is awesome. Um, it just gives you a variety of ideas to learn from each other. So that's become significantly helpful for me. Thank you to you ladies who have done that in the last few weeks, 2 weeks. And I would encourage everybody to be doing that. I mean, we don't have the time to hear 15 different versions, but if everybody takes a turn, here and there, then we actually get to hear a whole different arrangement than what we initially set out thinking we would hear. So that's great. And I did enjoy the Oscar swing very much so. So thank you for that.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Any questions about anything on this lovely little cute tune? Nothing?
I tried tap shoe.
I'm sorry?
I tried tap shoe.
Tap shoe.
Yeah, I pepped it up a
Okay.
little bit. Yeah.
Good. That'll work with it, definitely. All righty. So we're moving on today to it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And one of the reasons I chose that for today is because, again, it's using eighth note triplets. So it's a skill set that was in the bridge of Squeeze Me. And now we're going to have that kind of a rhythmic pattern in It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. This is a very busy song, right hand busy. Um, so it moves along. I didn't find a lot of variants. I think you will perhaps find more than I found. Tap soft shoe works great for it. You have to slow it down a little, but and also I found the shag worked on it very well too. And that was really all. I tried several other background styles, and I tried to pull up something that would be a little bit older style in case you didn't have one of the new ones. Soft shoe being one of them. Um, but I didn't find a whole lot, not as much as I thought I was going to find. But some tunes like this, especially the Christmas things, you play, basically once a year, so you tend to play it the same way each time you do it. So I didn't make a lot of changes at all, as a matter of fact. I really only think I made one little change. And it wasn't a change, it was an add. So the first phrase, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Christmas starts on an E, and I did an E flat to an E. So I slipped off of it, the E flat. And then in the same measure in beats 3 and 4, instead of holding that G, I went up an octave and I echoed the EG again. So I played 4 notes in the measure instead of 2 notes.
Where are you, Joanie? I'm not
The
following.
first phrase, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Yeah,
Chris is an E note,
right.
and I played E flat and slipped off to E.
Okay.
a grace note.
Oh, okay.
And then in beats 3 and 4, I went up an octave and did it again. E, G, an octave higher.
Joanie,
Yes,
did you make that E flat then again in the
correct.
echo?
E flat, G.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a grace note. And that will show up again. Where is it? At the end of the song, the last 3 lines. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas glide. What did I call it? Grace note. Grace note, E flat to E, and then a G, and then an octave higher, E flat to E, and then a G. So I did it at the end of the song as well. And again, this is a real skill set of eighth note triplets because you just have so many. You're going to have 4 sets in a measure in a lot of cases, and they all have to be even. So it's da 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 da. So you can't drag or hold out on one note of the triplet. It's got to keep moving. So whatever tempo you're going to need to play that section of the song, that's going to have to be your tempo for the whole piece. If it has to be slowed down, that's not a problem. Slow it down. But those triplets in that section of the bridge, that's what has to be very even. And in this case, Hal Leonard wrote it exactly the way it would be. So you want to keep that in mind. That is the bridge, and the lyrics are, let me see with my glasses here. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben. That's where the bridge starts. So starting a bridge is an indicator that that's going to be a place where you would change your sound. And because they were eighth note triplets, and this is maybe something from my experience, I'm not really sure. But my desire in my ear was I wanted to hear something kind of plucky. You know what I mean? Maybe pizzicato strings with a bell. I wanted to hear something light and plucky because I'm doing that. So because of that moving, I didn't want that's an example of a place where you wouldn't use a saxophone or a trombone because it's a bouncy type of eighth note triplets. And of course, then when you look at eighth note triplets, 3 eighth notes fit into one beat. That doesn't compute in my mind real well at all. It never has. I know what it's like to have 4 beats, and I know I have to fit 3 sets of triplets in that 4 beats. So what I do, as opposed to counting out the measure, I don't do that at all. If I was learning the song for the first time, which none of you are, I would be saying triplet, 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 triplet. I wouldn't try to work out 3 notes into one beat. My head can't do that math. So just saying triplet. Now, when we have quarter note triplets, which is different, we don't have that here. When we have quarter note triplets, they're going to fit into 2 beats. But I still do the same thing. I still say tripolet. It's just going to be drug out a little bit more with quarter note triplets as opposed to eighth note triplets. And I say triplet. You could say beautiful. So 3 syllable that keeps it even. So if you're slowing down, which you don't have to be in this bridge, I mean, you're going to play E, F, E, D, E, D, C, D, C, B, C, D. All these notes are right next to each other. So I would think that you're not going to have to mess up your triplet timing to hold on to a note to look for the next one because they're all sitting right next to each other. So I think you'll be fine. So I'm going to give you a little taste of these. I was not able, I should have made a call to Marilyn or Al and just said, see if that is in song setup. I don't know if it is. I know that it is not here. So I, I had to kind of do my own thing. So I'm going to shift the camera a little bit here so that you can see what I'm doing. And incidentally, if you don't have the music for this, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It is in book number 59, Hal Leonard, book number 187, and book number, oh, no. I'm giving you the wrong song. Never mind. That's for next week. Hold on. Let's go to It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. And I'm going to go to Tap, Soft Shoe. I think, if I can find it. There it is. So I'm going to take a listen to the rhythm, and I would encourage you to do that. And the reason I'm listening now is I want to hear the tempo. I see what the number is, and I'm wondering if I'm going to need to alter that. So I'm going to take a listen. So when I sing the bridge in my head, because that's the harder part to play, I can already tell you that it's set at 132 on Tap Soft Shoe. So just by singing that bridge in my head, just a measure or two, I can already tell you it's too fast. So I'm going to slow it down. And I generally slow down by increments of 10. Came on at 132. I'm going to put it at 120 and test it again. My estimation is for a hobbyist, if you are an intermediate player or beginner to intermediate, that's going to be the absolute fastest you're going to be able to go at 120, the absolute fastest. So that might be your goal speed. So you might start out much slower. Maybe you'll start out at 110, or maybe you'll start out at 100. But in my estimation, if you're not advanced agile, that's going to be your limit on that. So I'm going to keep it at 120, and I'm going to take a look at my sounds. So right now I'm on rhythm preset or style setup, for those of you who have that, and they're okay. I have a little bell with strings that I can obtain. Let me see what. No, I don't want odds on. But I have vocals that could sing the bridge, 3 vocals, so that's a possibility. Or I'm going to have to go to a category more and find some kind of pizzicato string and maybe put that on and add a bell to it. And ultimately, that's what I would do. Pizzicato and add a bell. I didn't have time to do that for today, but so we're going to start out with, the other thing is that the bridge on rhythm preset or style setup 0, the first sound is piano and string. And piano, as you know, is a plucked instrument. So that could serve the purpose as the bridge. I could start out with a string and bell, and then I could move to the piano. So that's an option too. I just kind of like, in my mind, I like the bell concept, but I'm not seeing it on these instruments that I have right now. So I'm going to start out with strings and bell and take a listen. Any questions so far? What's funny?
You make it look easy. It looks horrible.
Now, here's one thing I did do. If you can find, for me, it's the second page, line 4, but it might not be yours. And the words, the lyrics are, "And mom and dad can hardly wait for school to start again."
Yeah.
I played that section and then I repeated it. So I put in a double line in dots. I repeated it and transposed. So it went something like this. I'll start back at the bridge so that you can brace yourself. How's that? Let me get to the piano. So that phrase, I transposed and repeated that phrase again, which gave it a little lift. So the rest of the song was actually in the key of C sharp. I'm playing the same notes you see on your page, but the instrument transposed to C sharp. So that is, once again, so we've done nothing according to any skill set. We've just repeated a phrase, a musical phrase. Does that make sense?
You repeated it when you played it the second time or the first time?
I don't understand the question.
When you got to "and mom and dad,"
I
is
played,
that
and mom and dad can hardly wait for school to start again. And then I transposed, and mom and dad can hardly wait for school to start again.
okay? The second time you played the phrase, you transposed. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
One more time. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'm gonna run over here and get the shag. I did this many days ago, so I'm looking at the name of it, asking myself, was I serious? But I guess I was, or I wouldn't have written it down. So I'm going to give it a whirl. Let's see. So the shag comes on at 120. Oh, yeah, that's going to work. Again, that would be my goal speed, 120. I wouldn't start at that. I don't think you're going to get much beyond 120. I don't think, personally, tempos are not important to me. I would rather hear somebody play cleanly and neatly at a slower tempo than having the instrument run away without you. That's my philosophy. And I had a song, I think I mentioned this once before. I have an arrangement that I do. It's Beginning to See the Light, and All of Me. And I had a lot of people who, back in the day when I was working as a Lowry artist, who said that they didn't play All of Me because it was always too fast. And I took All of Me and made a slow version of it. Very slow. I think Autumn Keys or something. I could look it up if you were curious. And I did a slow version of it because that enabled people who thought they could never play that song, now they could play it song as a slow version. And that is the beauty of interpretation of music, is you can do it whatever way you want. So here's the shag. And again, I'm checking my instrumentation ahead of time. I have orchestral strings. I don't have, I have vocals. Some people like vocals, some people hate them. I have something a little more plucked with guitar and vibe. That's the kind of plucky feeling I'm going for. So I'm going to rest on that. So we're going to start out with the orchestral. Here we go. Love the intro and ending of the Shag. It's awesome. And that you heard me repeat that last musical phrase, G sharp A F B C. I repeated it as a more final ending, and I think I played something. I don't know what I did. Okay, so I went up to the F, and then I played another G, and my last note was a G. I played two G's instead of a B and a C. And I went up in the right direction. So it seemed a little bit more final, if you will. Any questions? Fun tune. Really fun.
Yeah, it's not in song setup.
Oh, good. Thanks for telling me that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, not even.
I think some of those Christmas songs that's a little bit tricky with copyrights, and that's why you'll see some of them more obvious ones that you think, and they're mostly jingles that aren't in song setup, and that's a copyright issue. If you can't get the copyright, you can't put it into song setup.
Hey, Joanie, it's Scooter. For the soft top shoe or whatever that one was,
Yeah.
if you turn off Orc Plus, doesn't it take that tapping sound away?
Well, let's find out.
Go with this song for me.
Was it driving you crazy?
I mean, I like it sometimes. I just don't particularly like it with this song, and I can't remember, and I'm not near my order to try it.
I can get it for you. Hang on. If you put drum variation on, it takes the tap away. Not the Orc Plus. Here's Orc Plus, and it's got the tapping going on. Here's drum variation. So now it's a shaker instead of a tapper.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
knew there
way.
was
That's
something
a
you could
way
do.
to subdue it a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, I
What
knew there was something. I just couldn't remember what it was.
Drum variation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What if you use the edit, Joni? Is there in the edit feature, does it show the tapping and what's making the tapping?
No, it's only showing guitar, piano, and strings. So it's
Oh.
obviously, because drum variation takes it away, it's incorporated into the drum sounds, which
Oh.
is not part of the edit.
Okay.
Okay. So it's fun. So next week, we're going to do Marshmallow World, and that is in book 59, book 187, and book 215. And my version is in the key of C. Some people know the song, some people don't. It's not one that's frequented by a lot of artists, or at least hadn't been over the years, which is why I played it, because they didn't. And I coupled it with a medley of What a Wonderful Day Like Today. And that's a great tune, and that worked real nicely with it. But that's what we're going to put together for next week. And then after next week, we're going to take a little break from the class. So
What was the song, Joni, that you couple that you, what a wonderful
What
day?
a Wonderful Day Like Today.
Oh, like today. Okay.
So we have It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. Keep on Squeeze Me, because it's cute. And it's kind of you're always looking around the holidays, you look for little jingles. That's the kind of music you're expecting to want to hear, as long as also with carols, of course, but jingles are always fun around the holidays. So Squeeze Me will fit right into there. And then a big one I do at Christmas time is Bugler's Holiday. That seems to be that's a great tune. As well, but that's a sidebar anyway. So it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas today, and then next week will be Marshmallow World, and then we'll take a little breather through the holidays. Any questions?
No,
Okay, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to say, if anybody needs It's Beginning to Look Like Christmas, I did not have it in any of the books, but I did download it. If you go to sheetmusicdirect.com, I get a lot of music from them because they have a huge Hal Leonard selection.
Good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
Sheetmusicdirect.com. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. All right. Well, this was fun. I enjoyed being with you. Thank you for being there. We have about 4 or 5 regular people who were not on today. So if you're talking to your friends and they weren't there, of course, you can always go to youtube.com/Fletcher Music Centers with an S. And the recording will be there. But he usually uploads it pretty quickly, so. All right, any other final comments? You can say goodbye to each other.
Yes, it was a wonderful class, Joni. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I
Bye.
A lot of
I
fun
hope your
being with you.
son
Thank
is
you. Have a great
okay.
day. Stay safe, please.
Yeah, and your son should be well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Prayer.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.